All right, folks, welcome back to your favorite D2C podcast. I have the queen of attribution, the most wonderful human, just an incredible person, super interesting, incredible intellectual range, and just one of my dear friends, Phoenix Ha. Welcome to the show, Phoenix.
Thanks for that intro. That's probably like one of the nicest intros I've ever gotten. You also forgot to introduce Nesta,
If you
the
so if
new
you're
D2C
watching,
guard dog.
so if you're just listening, Phoenix is holding up her new puppers, Nesta, who is, what is it? You said it's a fancy name, Belgian Malinois and German Shepherd mix. She's absolutely gorgeous. She's actually not being super crazy, but she was being super crazy when she wasn't in mom's lap. So if you're watching, you will get your daily dose of puppies as well as D2C knowledge bombs. We haven't chatted in forever. It feels like, and we were actually just talking about this offline before we started recording, that you've went into almost like intellectual hibernation mode in the sense of like bad girls move in silence, and you've just been building. So what have you been up to?
You got to do it in stealth mode. I have a lot of friends that believe in building out loud, which I did last year. So last year was kind of like my debut psycho year.
Yep.
My calendar was crazy. I saw Raba pretty often because we went to all the same events. We were hanging out all the time, and
all the time. It was wonderful.
I don't think I ever had such a crazy calendar. And then this year, I got married. I kind of went a little bit more quiet. I looked into the business. Oh, yeah, you were there. I looked into the business and I said, what do I need to do to change this up? And I've been silently building. I also purposely have not been speaking at events. I've been really just trying to grow MRR at AdBeacon. But you will be seeing me at events soon. Yeah, we're building. I needed to get us to a certain place. We're almost there. And I got a dog, and I've been the happiest I've ever been. Plus, working out, we were talking about personal health, mental health.
You've ever been.
Correct. So
I love this. We kind of jumped the shark, though. Give people the Phoenix Ha elevator pitch before we go into more of your background and journey to becoming the CEO over at AdBeacon.
Okay, elevator pitch used to be a model. Yep. Which usually people are like, what? And then I turned into data person. Loved paid media. I was the director of paid social and organic social at a pretty well-known agency in Los Angeles. Lost 40% of my book of business during iOS 14. And I had to look myself in the mirror and go, shit, what are we going to do? So I ended up just testing out loud, which gave me the opportunities to meet some of the best people like Raba and a couple of our friends in the space. And I got to travel the world and speak about attribution, iOS 14.5, in-platform data versus other platforms. And through that, realized I needed to build my own solution because nothing out there was doing what I needed it to do. And that's where AdBeacon was born. So me and my co-founder, I have two co-founders, and we just built AdBeacon to my vision because I'm the media buyer.
ICP,
and since then, we are here and we are thriving.
No, I love that. I love that for you. I guess give some people some color. How did you pivot from modeling to like super nerdy? I can't think of, maybe inventory or warehousing is nerdier, but attribution is pretty king of the hill nerdy.
It's queen of the hill nerdy.
Yeah,
Raba.
Queen of the hill nerdy. Yeah. No, I caught myself.
It's okay. No, I will tell you, if you would have told me like 5 years ago I'd be into attribution, I'd probably be like, what's attribution? This is stupid. I've always had a fascination or a hyperfixation of things. I think like a lot of the most successful people I see in this space, in any space, they just have this character trait of hyperfixation. I'd like to put myself in that bucket. When it was modeling, I was really fixated on that. And I learned about warehousing, like you were saying, supply chain on the back end. And then I also learned about distribution in terms of like content and brand building on the other end, billboards, etc. So I got to see it all come together, but I just didn't feel like I had enough of what I wanted to be a part of by just being on the other side of the camera or the runway. So I actually interned at an agency called the DFM, and they were like one of the first creative agencies in the sense of like PR, experiential marketing. They did everything. And I was like, whoa, this is really cool. So I got to work with brands like Nike and Keen and Impossible Foods when they launched.
Yep.
And while I really like that, and I dug my heels into some huge brands, I just didn't feel like I knew the tangible impact of my efforts because it was a lot of experiential, a lot of influencer. And this is before a lot of tracking was in place or data forward. Because if you know anything about marketing, high level, commercial level, they don't care about data. They do now. But back in the old days, they did not give a flying F. Like they just wanted to have impact. Yeah. So I decided to leave and I went to Supra Footwear, which is a skate brand, and they were bought out by K-Swiss Global Brands. And I worked on a lot of things
Swiss,
there.
let's go.
Yeah. So you guys know, so you probably don't know this, but you know the Clouds in the Dirt shoe with Gary Vee?
Yes.
Okay. So I helped work on that. Homie Diaz. Yeah. Homie Diaz was the footwear designer there. Funny, when I was modeling, I modeled for K-Swiss. This is full circle. I modeled for
Oh my God, that is so
K-Swiss.
full circle.
So full circle. And the person that was supposed to walk the runway with me, the male model, didn't show up. So Homie Diaz at the time was working at K-Swiss, and he ended up being my co-model or whatever, walking down the runway. However many years later, now I'm working alongside him, Supra to K-Swiss. So he was talking to me, showing me the Clouds in the Dirt. He's like, what do you think? And we always bounce ideas off of each other. So I was in that engine room. And again, I was managing hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in spend, but did not even think about D2C. So I was doing a lot of like gritty launches of products with no advertising spend, just hyped up crazy parties and countdowns and like really experimental rather ideas of selling out. And I loved it, but then again, wasn't satisfied. So I left. And fast forward, I got this like LinkedIn posting for a job for paid search. And I had no idea what paid search was. I was like, oh, people are paying me to search things. Sick, I could do that.
That's amazing.
That's why this whole story is so funny. And then they were like, we don't think you'll be good for paid search based off your resume, but you might be a good fit for paid social. So I came in as like grunt level, just bottom barrel level. Yeah. I was getting paid just entry. And I was like, okay, I just want you to know that I have every intention of rising in the ranks. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, no, I do. So then that hyperfixation came in. Within 1 year, I became the director of paid social. I grew their book of business over 200%. I knew how to speak to people. I like to close because I know how to like speak to value. Yeah. And, you know, that transformed to what I was just speaking to before is I had a problem. We needed a solution. I don't mind speaking out loud. And then like fast forward, I'm in Dubai also developing a attribution platform. So everything is synergistic.
Wow. Time is a flat circle. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Side note, what'd you think of Dubai?
I think it's Vegas. I've been twice. I think my experience is different because I went with Affiliate World. So it was super fun. I had a really close lens. Would I take the 16-hour flight to visit Dubai in my recreational time? No. Yeah. I had more fun on the Emirates business class than I think I did while I was in Dubai recreationally.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always wanted to do Emirates or Singapore Airlines are supposed to be the just pinnacle of the skies. But yeah, I had the same thing because I went out there for it was actually a geek out, and then yeah, it was okay. It was one of those like really cool to see, but the way I describe it to people is it's like if you gave somebody a bunch of money and just said like build whatever you want, there's just like no character. Like the architecture is incredible. Like if you ever go out there, basically like a suburb of Dubai is crazier than like the Brooklyn Promenade. Like it makes New York City look like a joke, which is pretty much probably the most iconic skyline in the States. And the Burj was cool, the Fashion Mall was cool, but I'm with you. It was just hard travel. It was hard travel, and I was just like, not really. And it's basically just one line, so you can't really walk anywhere. You have to drive everywhere. The Museum of the Future was cool. I couldn't get into that, but yeah, that's interesting.
We called it the bean. It looks like a bean.
The bean, yeah. With
the
all
bean.
There's no, there's a bunch of Arabic scripture on it. There's no right angles, and supposedly there's no like exposed studs or anything like that. So it's supposed to be even more gorgeous inside. But I stayed at a hotel right across from it. It was gorgeous. But yeah, with you. I totally concur. Dubai was, if you're out there, it's fun to go visit because we were actually, because Triple, at the time I was at Triple, and they had a big office in Jerusalem. So we did the Dubai trip and then just jumped over to Israel, which is super close compared to going all the way across the world from the continental states. But no, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I love that story though. You literally modeled it and then marketed it. That's trippy. That's super,
You're
super
telling
cool.
me I lived it. It was
I
weird.
know.
And I will tell anybody who's listening and they're like, okay, you don't like Dubai. Where should you go? You should go to Cappadocia. Okay. It was probably the most incredible trip I've ever been
I
on. Yeah.
saw Turkey.
Istanbul was okay. I can't say
Yeah.
that I'm not the beacon of
You go to Hagia
hope.
Sophia?
I didn't do anything really in Istanbul. It was like a
Okay.
layover and I kind of looked at it. But when you experience Cappadocia and all of its wonder, you don't think there's a lot to do other than the balloons. There's so much to do and it's got so much character and it's really safe. Cappadocia, I believe, is what Italy should be when you go
Yeah.
visit. Like the streets are gorgeous, everything's gorgeous, but minus all the hyper tourism.
Is
And
that the correct pronunciation? I've been calling it Cappadocia. Oh my
Cappadocia.
gosh. Cappadocia.
Cappadocia.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. I need to get my intellectual vibes up.
Come on.
No,
All
yeah.
those
So
shoes behind you and you don't know how to say Cappadocia?
unbelievable I am. Now, yeah, for the people that don't know, it's the really Instagrammable thing where you see people like on a terrace with the balloon, like the hot air balloons is a really big thing. And then supposedly like what, a quarter, half of the city's like built into the actual mountains and stuff. So it's supposed to be a vibe. It's supposed to be a vibe.
Stay in
Uh,
caves. Yeah.
Stay in caves, yeah. Well, and you get to stay cool because you get out of the sun, and then there's a bunch of conspiracy theories of like there was like aliens, and so they built these things around that. But that's
Yeah,
neither
my
here nor there.
husband's dad watches Ancient Aliens, and this is exactly.
Yes. Okay. Total. Speaking of being an intellectual gremlin, I was so into Ancient Aliens, and then like the guy, the
Tracks.
hair, everything. And then I found this YouTube video where this dude basically just took like 6 hours and debunks like every episode. And it totally broke me. It shattered me. But it's still fun viewing if you can see it through the lens of gaffs and like, but yeah, it's not all true.
Shoot me that link.
Uh,
I need to demystify this for my husband's dad.
yeah,
But thank you.
it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. Um, okay, let's switch some gears into, well, actually, before we switch gears, what, I guess, do you have any frameworks, books? Like, how did you go through the hard times? Like, how did you keep your head up? How did you bite down on the mouthpiece and just keep going? Because it is tough. I mean, you're definitely still pretty young, but it's tough to really start at the bottom, go into a whole nother industry. I think the male dominance probably didn't bother you that much because I'm sure, like, and I'm speaking for you, but I'm sure it's much worse in modeling. From the stories I've heard in modeling, it's very misogynistic, or for the most part. So I'm sure you kind of that wasn't as big of a transition, but just going from the ground up, starting as a social media peon to running one of the top attribution platforms on the interwebs, that's a pretty big jump. How do you like, is there advice to give out to people there, in specific maybe aspiring women that are trying to really, you know, bash through, for better or worse? You know, there's sometimes some ceilings that probably shouldn't be in place, and they are. Do you have any advice for anybody out there?
Yeah, it's really simple. Don't get distracted. It's
Ooh.
really, really simple. It's kind of like when someone wants to fight with you and they just keep spewing things your way. And then, the people, if you like, I think this is the most beautiful form of maturity is when you watch two people fight and they're yelling. And mind you, I have a hot temper. So, like, we're talking about different things here, but like, you you watch
Don't look
someone
over there. Don't
react.
look over there.
Don't look over here. Let me just talk about it. When you see the way someone reacts, it really shows you where they are in life. So, like, for
Yeah.
example, in SaaS, we were just talking about this offline. When something hits the fan, right, that fundamentally is wrong, like you cannot, like,
Yeah.
this is a big problem. I think the maturity is realizing, understanding it is a problem, but also never dwelling on the problem, dwelling on the solution. And
Yeah.
that's my way of not being distracted. So if you were to talk to me a year ago, you knew where I was a year ago with AdBeacon.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just about finding that ICP and really just pushing through, making sure we weren't bankrupt or like in the deficit, and really
Sure.
just going towards the right direction. And so many times I would hear from people going like, you're not going to make it. You have such big people that you're up against, including one that you were at, which is totally
Mm-hmm.
fine, with large amounts of funding. Another fundamental thing is I didn't want to get distracted. And I've said this before, like, if it doesn't make sense, I won't do it.
Yeah.
And it's really simple. So, for example, like we get questions all the time, like, what about funding? Are you trying to get funding, a seed round, et cetera? And I'm like, a series A or B? I'm like, no. And people are like, what are you talking about? Because that's the thing to do in SaaS, right?
You're right. It is.
It's like this textbook, you have to do A, B, and C. And I'm like, I wouldn't even have AdBeacon if I did textbook A, B, and C. So
Yeah.
for me, I said, my number one goal is to be profitable.
Yep.
I will not take a dollar until we're profitable. And unless I know exactly what I'm going to do with that money, I don't want to even think about it.
Yeah.
So my goal is profitability. My goal is not funding. So
Right.
it changed everything. So then I could catch up to my competition faster because I was listening to what my consumers wanted and I
I love
wasn't
this.
getting distracted by the dollars. So that would be my number one thing is like, don't get distracted. Don't let everybody else tell you what you need to do. If it doesn't make sense, don't do it.
I love that. That's something that I think is so brilliant, and I think that um, the only pushback I would say is, and again, this is pushback on you. It's the timing of that was perfect for you. Where when you're younger, I think you should be more wide, right? Like go explore things, go. But then there's a certain point where it's like, okay, cool. Let me get my shit together, and like I'm gonna focus and do this really well. And then I think to your point, that's the sign of maturity because there's a great Buddhist quote where they call anger a gift, right? And so if you don't receive that person's gift, then you're not angry. But if somebody's trying to give you this anger, you're just like, dude, I don't need it, man. It's your anger. You keep it. I don't want to take this gift from you because then what do you do with this gift? You got to go give it to somebody else. And I think that's so beautiful. Focus is something that I've been really trying to figure out in my personal and professional life as well because I'm just such a curious kitty and I just want to do all the things and you can get into this place where you're busy and not productive and that's like my nightmare fuel where you're just so tired at the end of the day you work 12 hours and you're like dude I really didn't push anything forward like what did I do today but I'm so tired and I think that's something that when you find focus, you do activities that are energy giving versus energy taking. And paradoxically, that allows you to do more, if that makes any sense at all.
It makes total sense. But also, like, on the contrary, you have to be careful because you do all this work thinking you're going to get like this reward. And if you don't get this reward, you feel like you failed. So, for example, like you expect to close X amount of leads today because you put X amount of hours in work in. And if you don't do it, you're like, I didn't do anything. When in reality, you're doing 15 times more than the average person anyway. And I think that can cripple who you are as a person. That happened to me. And then on the other side of it too, I was talking about building in silence. Like last year, I was going to every event, doing everything, which was necessary because I needed AdBeacon to be at the forefront of every conversation.
Yes.
And I was getting invitations to things that normal people would have to pay lots of money to be a part of or like
Yes.
in rooms. It needed to happen. However, this year, what needed to happen was money. So
Yes.
you have to do, because we haven't really spent any paid dollars at all on AdBeacon. Only thing we did was to, a specific brand, like brand keywords, like things like that. Sure.
Yep.
Lightest touch. Because again, profitability was my number one and is my number one. So it was just everything has a purpose for a reason, and balance, like you said, and focus is so big for me right now. And some would look at it as naivety and they're like, you're not grinding enough. But I'm like, but I also know where I need to go and I don't need to flail my arms to get there. Just secure, be confident in what your goal is, and you will get there eventually. So do your best.
I love that. No notes. I think I've experienced the exact opposite of that because I didn't take that advice. Like there's definitely, time and place where it's like, okay, cool, bite down on the mouthpiece, shovel shit for a little bit, but you can't live there. You really can't live there. And burnout is crazy. The way I try and describe burnout to people is like true and real burnout, which I've had a few times. It's like a power, like if you think of yourself like a power plant, like power plants are not meant to go down ever. That's why they tell you turn off your AC, do all this stuff. Because if a power plant goes down, dude, it takes like a day or two to restart everything, do all these things, and then that means the whole grid is offline. And so the analogy of that is to me where it's like when I'm proper burnt out, I need like two to 3 weeks, like just a week of just vegging, of like just doing nothing, and then another couple like when I left Triple Whale, it took me like a month just to get back to a baseline, like not motivated or productive, just back to like, okay, the power plant's functioning again. So I think that's one of the biggest things where sometimes it's just better to just take a blow versus it's much better to take some time and get back to 100% and get 3 to 4 days of 100% than have a month of constantly just working at 40% productivity. And it's a really unpleasant feeling, especially when you're someone like you or myself, where we just have these very laudatory goals, very high performing kind of personalities. And you're like, because I'll tell you who knows who high performers are, other high performers. And you can look at yourself in the mirror. You might not say it like publicly, but you know, and you're like, dude, I'm not doing the best work of my life. Like, and it's because it's a function of your environment, not a function of you. So I think focus is such a brilliant answer. I absolutely love it.
I think about it too, Raba. Like, I would say to criticize our former selves too is that we did everything. Like you said something beautiful, like when you left Triple and you were trying to like it took a month to get back to like normal. And that's not a knock on Triple. It's just a knock on ourselves of like
Oh, for sure.
how we but that's the same thing. So I did a event with Super Footwear and Modelo, and we did a collaboration and we did this event and we did it in collaboration with Modelo and Skull Candy because I was trying to set precedents that we might do a collaboration with Skull Candy. And then I got everybody to pitch in for free, basically. So Skull Candy brought in their artists and their lineup. We did a free show. We had all the influencers come in through my relationships. And like, we did all of this, right? And I did it with a $3,000 budget, which is unheard of. Okay. I can do that.
For me.
And we sold out within minutes. Okay. But the problem is I will never forget this. My best friend, Natalie, she's like, stay with me. She picked me up. She put me in her car. I couldn't eat. I was shaking. I was so exhausted that I was shaking. I was on the floor. She had to spoon feed me because of the exhaustion. Because I was producing, I was organizing, and like people don't really understand like the maximum output, exactly what you're saying. And I look back now, I'm still very young, but I look back now and I'll never let myself get back there because how stupid. I could have delegated. And we're over here just having so much pride to say, I did this. So the stamp really needs to be, I did it because I did it through and through. And I learned that at my wedding. I learned how to delegate. I learned how to shut up and just go. And I don't know. It's a nice second for us to just take a step back and go, okay, growth. Let's never be there again. But we also know that we can do it, which is cool because it's necessary to know that you're able to do it.
Yeah. And weirdly enough, you don't know where the line is until you cross it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't want to cross it too many times, but like, okay, man. And then you can start to pick up on the heuristics of like, I am headed towards catastrophe and like, this is not going to end well for me. And yeah. And I think the biggest thing for me is realizing like, hey, man, I used to obviously love to bring it back to myself because I'm a huge narcissist.
Love it.
I used to be really good at running, and running was one of those sports, especially when you get into the higher levels. It was very like, it was essentially just a mental sport where like the whole point is you just run as much as you can and not get injured. Those are basically the best people. Like, yeah, there's like strata to it where there's like these like top killers, then the middle of the pack, and then like the kind of third part of the pack. But once I lost my ability because I knew what it took and the pain I would have to endure to win, once I lost that dog, I was like, dude, I'm out. Like, because it's just, and once you lose that, I think that's a time when you need to really look at your life and say, hey, is this how I want to spend the next day on earth, et cetera, et cetera. And, it kind of sounds hippy dippy, but man, it's just so important to really get up and do what you want to do with your time that day. And if you can't, then like, what are the things you're doing to, whether it's insulate yourself into poverty or like make yourself have the ability to have change? Because the worst thing is, man, ending up with regret and ending up with having to listen to somebody that is way dumber than you, that is, you know what I mean? Like, and I've been there before when I was younger where you're just like, man, how did I get here? And you just don't want to fall into that victimhood. And you want to say, okay, cool. Here's things that I can do every day to make my life better, to then get me into a place where I have control over my life. And I think that's something that I've been trying to lean into more and kind of step into my power, where it's like, dude, I don't have to do all this stuff. Like, you can still crush it without having to go to 75 events. Like, I mean, in March, I traveled 28 days out of the month. Like, it's a lot. That's a
At
lot.
one point, you had a calendar for your whole year. Trust me,
It's a
I
lot.
know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how are you doing this? And yeah, I remember I would check in on you. I'm like, you alive? And you'd be like, yeah.
No, it's
6 days
not
later,
alive.
you text me, yeah.
I was not alive.
If you want to know anything about Rava, you'll get a text message 6 days later, and it'll be a voice memo going, "Hey, sorry."
To be fair, you're in the tier 1, and my tier 1 is still 6 days later. So yeah, I don't. Sometimes my comm stack is not
It's okay.
ideal.
I'm the
But hey,
same
we're
way.
not
I
here to
just leave
talk
people on
about.
red. I'm worse.
I do too. To be fair. Okay, so let's switch and get a little nerdy. We got the hippy dippy segment in. Too long didn't read. Go focus, people. Go do what you can. Everything you need is already inside of you, and just go do the damn thing and climb that damn mountain. Okay, motivation segment out of the way, and those are beautiful stories. Thank you for sharing that, Phoenix. Tell me about AdBeacon. Tell me about all the cool stuff that you're cooking up. Are you guys worried about the cookie? Cookie don't matter. What are you guys doing? Give me all the deets.
Cookie don't matter. We're a cookieless system. So, back to the point of why we even built AdBeacon is because I'm a media buyer and I needed to be able to prove my results. So a lot of the time, let's go back to the basic question. A client will ask you, okay, you told me you made me this, prove it. And there was no way to prove it as a media buyer. You would go, well, the algorithm, well, attribution, well, delay. There was always an excuse. And I didn't feel like that was good enough, because if I was on the other end of the stick, I would say, well, you're fired. So I wanted something that was very transparent. So the reason why AdBeacon is different is 3 main reasons. Number 1, we're no bullshit. There's no proprietary attribution model. There's nothing, black box. You already have ASC and you already have Performance Max. I'm not going to put another factor in play. So everything is click-based, which means I have a tangible order ID, first and last name, full journey assessed, right? Good to go. So that's out of the way. Attribution is only one part of it. Then the next part is the design. I built this actually for agencies and media buyers. I didn't build it for the brands. So it's a completely different way of looking at things. Brands, I realized, were the ones swiping their credit card. They would be the customers to this type of platform, but they would never use it. They're not sophisticated enough to know how to use it. Then they give it to a team. So why not I just go to the team, make it a crazy rate, have high retention, make sure the brands stay. So we flipped that model. And then the last part is the Swiss Army knife. What could I build that has everything I need to scale a brand the way that I know how to in one place? So everything and our ethos is higher productivity, higher quality of data, and then also how do I streamline just time? And in doing so, we've been able to create audiences within the platform that directly integrate with Meta, Google, and TikTok. We've been able, we segment audiences. We see low hanging fruit. We actually help you optimize by new versus returning customers, so your LTV is increasing or decreasing over time. Everything we've built is the juggernaut of what you need, and people are realizing it very, very quickly, and they realize they don't have to pay an arm and a leg for it. And finally, a platform favors them over the brands.
Yeah.
So with that different approach, people were like, oh shit. And mind you, Rava, this light bulb didn't happen until 2023 Q4.
That's wow. So I mean, that's pretty much, wow. You mean 2023 Q4?
Yeah, so 2023 Q4 2023. I think the last time I saw you was around that time. We were in San Diego for the Mastermind, Blue Ribbon Mastermind event.
I forgot, we're on the rooftop.
And you and I were going back and forth talking about stuff. And I went back with my team and I said, let's look at the usage report. And we realized none of the brands were using, but all the agencies were. And I was like, okay, this is weird. And we would go back to the brands and ask them why. And they're like, we just don't have time. We love this platform. We think it's great, but we just don't know how to use it. And then every day I'd be getting messages from my agency partners going we love this. This is what we suggest you should do. And I said, okay, why don't we flip this model? So my co-founder and I were like, why don't we create a fixed rate And it's a 5 bundle deal. So 5 domains for $750, regardless of track revenue. So you could have a Sephora and we wouldn't care.
Wow.
And you would have to upgrade, like, so MRR and ARR would rise as you increased the bundles. So it'd be another 750, another 750. And we have 100% retention with our agencies.
It's incredible.
Since then. So it's like, oh shit. And then the brands, yeah, we still get them here and there, but we qualify them and say, do you have a team to be able to fulfill? Because if you don't, this isn't going to be for you.
That's so clever.
And we've been able to grab some really big agencies, and they're not only doing betas with us, but we're scaling. So a little sneak peek to something that we're doing is we created our own auditing system. So I thought to myself, like, how do I have agencies gain more clients? Because if they gain more clients, we gain more clients.
Yep.
So we gave the sales team a plug and play tool, got our tracking script on board, and then we do a full audit analysis based off my brain as a media buyer, and then created a script.
Dope.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing.
Dope. Oh, I love that. I love that. What is your favorite feature right now on the roadmap?
Okay, really stupid, but really great.
Those are my favorites, to be fair. Those are my favorites.
So we have a product journey report. Similar to that, TW has it too. But I was like, great, I want to take this up a notch. So I actually get to tell you time between first, second, and third purchase. Yeah. And then it automatically integrates with a segmentation and audience builder of all the people who have bought the first product. Go ahead and start targeting them now. So it's an instant press play and it goes in. The secondary part that I'm excited about is AI. So I hate when people just say AI. I have this running joke that people get up on stage, they say AI, they walk off the stage and everyone loses their shit. I believe AI is just, and everyone's going to come after me for this. I believe AI is just a subset of data in which they're able to rinse and repeat through at a much faster rate than we would be able to. So you have to feed that data, right? So why don't I feed it data that I seem necessary and script it? So I can script it based off of what I look for, because no AI is going to put two and two together unless I train it. So for example, okay, if I see that geographical areas that have far more revenue than that of volume have more purchasing power, so potentially use that and then trail it with your top channels for new customers, top channel for returning customers. And I give them the full strategy from start to finish of how to lower NCPA.
I love that.
So that's my next one. Is I've been scripting for months, and that's what we want to build.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah. What is your take on AI? Are you using it? Obviously, that's a really cool implementation of it. Are you using it in any of the marketing or in your personal communications, personal life? Just your general take on AI.
My general take on AI is the master prompter is what is going to set you apart than the AI itself. I think I've talked to you about this so many times. Like, AI is going to get rid of the mundane and help the 1%ers succeed or 3%ers succeed. And for me, I use it for the most interesting things. So I create all my tweets and I still don't like it. Every single week I'll record myself of what I'm seeing in the space, take that transcript, put it into ChatGPT 4, give it my tone, etc. Still doesn't hit. But for example, if I want to create a grocery shopping list for my birthday event that has X amount of people that have this many allergies and I only can buy from Costco and I have this budget, spit it out for me. Yeah. AI, okay, here's my thing about MMM. So MMM and AI and all that, I think they're really powerful. The problem is that there's a lot of variables in play. There's political climates. There's a lot of things that can come in, natural disasters, events that happen through a random TikTok. All these things will start to come in and you never anticipate it. So forecasting tools are really difficult for me because the natural next step for an AdBeacon is to have some type of really intense forecasting.
Yeah.
But in order for me to have a clean conscience about it, it needs to make sense. Remember, don't get distracted.
Yep.
That's where the AI gets iffy for me. So I think AI works when it comes to my dog, when it comes to condensing information and utilizing it for the application, which would be media buying.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be my very long-winded, nerdy answer.
No, I'm pretty aligned with you. I think one of the challenges that I've seen with AI, or kind of, you know, if we call it AI wrappers, is you still have to know the questions. And the better the prompter is, like, for example, if somebody's a really awesome prompter, they're going to get more out of AI at like a low, like a GPT-3 than they are 4.0 or whatever. And so I think the model is less powerful because, and honestly, 4.0 I haven't been really impressed with Chat GPT. I actually thought GPT-4 was better. But I do think there is a there. I just haven't figured it out yet because there is some cool stuff. So for me, like, I'll write an essay or I'll write an email or something, and then I'll run it through Chat GPT and it'll be better. But it's because I gave it kind of 80 to 90% of what I wanted. But I've also had times where it just absolutely misses. So I think that's the other challenge with AI, is the inconsistency. And so you don't really know, like, you can't really get your bearings on the ruler, because it's just like, it's almost as if you brainstorm with a different person every single time. And I know they're doing better with this now, of having like memory, so they have like the previous queries stored for you in certain threads and things like that. But I do think it is going to get interesting with the, I just had Reza from Motion on, and he had a really interesting take where he thinks that, like, instead of AI influencers or whatever, because Keenan's doing something cool with I think it's Icon, basically like AI influencers, and you can just generate your own influencer or whatever. Um, but I think it gets cool if you can do that with actual celebrities, and then the celebrities can just license their likeness. Like, okay, cool. Phoenix wants to do an ad for happypills.com with Raba's celebrity likeness. Rob, are you okay with this? Here's this thing, but almost what Cameo should have been. I think that's quasi interesting. I think the weird part is we're in this unique space of kind of the like, we're coming out of the uncanny valley where it's actually getting really good. And so now I think there's something that needs to happen in terms of societal contracts. Like, when is it okay to use AI? When do I need to disclose that I'm using AI? Like, what is the certain threshold that it's considered AI generated? You know what I mean? Like, if I take a photo and 90% of the photo is my photo, but then I wanted to extend the background with AI expand because I wanted the framing was just off. So I just wanted a little bit more to make the crop perfect. Is that AI generated? You know what I mean? So I think that's what gets really interesting to me. But right now, it's the wild west, man. So I think, like, if you can make a bunch of money off of it, because I think there just has to be. But at the same time, like, we can't even regulate the internet, and that's a way simpler technology than what AI is. So maybe I'm off on the regulation coming sooner than later, or the societal contracts coming sooner than later. But um, yeah, I don't know, because I did a whole. Remember when I went on my vision quest after I left Triple? That's how I did. I did 90% of my trip. I said, "Hey, I have 2 months to spend. I want to start in Barcelona, end in London. I need to go to Morocco on this date. Um, what are the cities that are geographically, like, you know what I mean? I basically did that, and it made everything perfect for me. And then I basically gave that to my sister, and then she booked like an incredible trip. And so that was something that would have normally taken me like weeks to like research, do this, do that. And so there's definitely a there, but I'm with you on the hallucinations are really scary sometimes if you need something to be 100%, versus if you just need something to be 90, then it's like, okay, cool, give it to me and I can figure it out. But um, yeah, I don't know. That was a whole, I see I matched your
This is
ramblings,
great.
and I went up to you.
No, this is great. Look, I actually got in like a verbal fight with my husband about this because we are so different. He's not in this space, by the way. He's a winemaker. But we were sitting there and we're talking about AI. And I said, here's the biggest distinction of AI. AI, like I said, is a subset of data in which it is able to comb through it at a rate that I can't, and then put it in the context of what I give it. Versus this idea of AI that it has thought and it doesn't have
Yes.
thought. Okay. So, you know, we don't have that. And I think we it probably does, and we just don't know about it. But that's where things kind of get out of hand. So there are two two shows I want you to watch if you haven't already.
Okay,
there's Black Mirror, and it's called Joan is
I can't
Awful.
do the Black Mirrors anymore. They're too on the nose.
So Joan is Awful. Remember when I had the two stripes in the front? For people who don't know me, I used to have like blonde hair just in the front. They're called money pieces. And everyone was messaging, Joan is awful. I'm like, what? My name's not Joan. Also, so watch that. It literally talks, it says exactly what, it showcases what happens when what you just said is in play. When celebrities give authority to license their likeness for this type of thing. And then it just goes into almost like not a Black Mirror, but there was this Inception kind of take. Watch it. The second one is another movie that just came out, obviously way more dramatized, but it's with Megan Fox. And I forget what the name is. It just came out, but she's basically this AI robot that has been built to...
I forget the name too, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And it talks about how she overrides the system because she's so intellectual of thought, and she hyper fixates on this idea of taking care of her primary master. Yes. Subservience. Is that what it's called?
Subservience is what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I have some thoughts there. A really great. So when I was in Dubai, there was this panel that rattled me to the bones. It was with Jason Akatiff, Van Oaks, Mark Joyner, and a couple others. What was that?
Powerful Van Oaks. Van's a good buddy.
I love Van Oaks. Shout out Van Oaks. I hope you're doing great. But yeah, so they sat there and talked about the future of AI, and Mark Joyner, who is the inventor of the Pixel, which is another wild story of me meeting him, but he starts to go into the fact that he's very integrated with Central Intelligence in the United States, and he knows what's coming. And he's just like, you guys aren't even thinking. You guys are thinking in D2C. What about 3D printing,
for sure,
like weapons of mass destruction?
Well, forget weapons of mass destruction. What if I was going to do, if I was a kiddo again, I would be into biology and AI. I think that's going to get the craziest, because one thing that AI does do very well is like, so there's the Monte Carlo simulations. That's basically what makes humans humans, is that we can run all these different scenarios in our head and kind of have like a semblance of how this is going to come out. Okay, cool. If I jump off this cliff, I shouldn't, because I'm going to die. Okay, if I do the animals don't have that ability. And so if Phoenix is the top scientist on the planet, but there was a crazy M. Night Shyamalan movie kind of along this line of The Beach. You ever see The Beach?
Mm-mm.
So the whole premise was there was this crazy resort. You go to this crazy resort, but all the people there had like some sort of ailment, like cancer or whatever. And then on this beach, like time was sped up like 100x. And so they could run all these experiments that would normally take 50 years, 60 years in a month or something like that. And I think that's what's going to happen with AI applied to science. So going back to your point of the CIA, like you could make a bioweapon, in a day, when previously it would have taken you 100 years or whatever. So I don't know. That's
imagine the prompt, make a bioweapon that's based out of these elements, that is more powerful, less potent, and can only affect, imagine. And mind you, I'm not trying to get like, and I always say, and I actually had the worst face-to-face with Mark, but it ended up being a really good, we became good friends. And my sister actually got into it with him too. And we sat there and we're like, hey, there is a separation of social responsibility here, and you've got a bunch of hungry ass people listening to you on stage, and you're giving them information that they might not be ready for. So, there's this idea of mass hysteria, and that's the reason why news outlets and certain, like, you just don't give all the information.
In a movie theater.
Can't say fire in a movie theater. Can't say gun in the movie theater.
Yeah.
So like, there's a reason for that, because mass hysteria. And I told him, I was like, you have a responsibility with the information you've been given. Yes, you want everyone to have the knowledge, but now you have idiots who make at-home weapons and explosives thinking that they can do this, and they probably can. It's only a matter of time. I feel like the people who aren't in government agencies are the brilliant ones that scare me the most. I will end this like, we try not to go hippy dippy, but like, this is my example. I had a flat tire with my Tesla. A guy picked me up in a tow truck and decided to tell me how he makes explosives in his house, and one day he wants to blow up all of Riverside. Let's talk about like, and I'm sitting here in this fucking tow truck. I was like, what was your name again? And And literally all I said back to him was like, hey, can you just wait till I leave? Because I need to
Yeah.
go home.
I like you, bro. Let me get that text at least. Oh my gosh. But on the flip side of it, ideally all of like, again, I think AI is kind of like a framing hammer. I think it's like a lot of technology where it's amoral. It's the person using it. And so on the flip side, we're talking about all this horribleness. Like, can you imagine if cancer could be solved,
Yeah.
or lupus, or all these other things that people are ailing from? But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's may we live in interesting times. And the challenge is, because I'm old, this is the first, I've always been like a early adopter kind of guy, like almost bleeding edge. And this is the first time where I was like, whoa, even the internet didn't give me this kind of like goosebumps of like, whoa, man, there's some really interesting things going on here. And if I get the right data set and I have the right open source model, there's no guardrails, whether for good or bad, but there's no guardrails. And so that gets really crazy. And then the worst part about it, and I promise we'll bring up the vibes after this, is that if country X says, hey, that's naughty, don't do it, but country Y does do it, country X is then going to follow because they see country Y is getting an advantage. And so that's what gets really scary, is like you can be moral and get left behind and taken over, or you can try and be a superpower and stay a superpower. And the incentives are just really misaligned, and there's no way to put the genie back in the box. And so I don't know. I think there's going to be interesting times, but hey, go make your grocery list, people. It's fine.
Go make a
You have a
grocery list.
birthday party to throw. Go to Costco with your birthday list.
It's okay. Let me just put it in this context because you actually mentioned this, and then we can move on. Also, two things. Number one, a shout out to if you want two people to follow in the space that really use AI in marketing,
Ooh,
not
love this.
doomsday.
Tying it back.
Tying it back is Gold. His name is Gold. You can follow him on Twitter. He is fantastic. I think it's like Gold Tesla or something like that. He goes by Gold. He's really
Oh, the
great at
cyborg
creating.
marketer.
Yeah,
Okay,
cyborg
I know
marketer.
him. He's fantastic. I
He's
love
great.
the
He's
kid.
been really, really diving. He's been developing a lot of things with AI in terms of how to streamline everything. He also uses AdBeacon. Shout out to you, Gold.
Let's go,
Um,
Gold.
and second one is Matt Erickson, who's also the VP of marketing at National Positions. He is fantastic at Midjourney and creatives and like just
Ooh.
he's helped us with the AdBeacon website. You saw the revamp of what we did.
Looks
It was
gorgeous.
trash to not trash.
The
And
merch also is amazing. You need to get it out.
that merch was me, so I'll give myself credit for that. But we are going we're gonna
Not
do it.
AI.
I'm glad you liked it. But yeah, so those two, I will say it like this. You're right. If country A or country B, you know, you said this earlier, like what it's like to be a female in the space. It probably wasn't distracted. We both are aware. We both are aware that there are not enough women in this space.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about that? And
Yeah.
that's how I see AI. We both are aware AI exists in this space. If Mark Joyner knows more than country B, then Mark Joyner has to be really careful about what he lets out to protect country A. That's the way I see it. So for me, when I go into a space, because I know I'm a female, am I going to make the most noise about being the only female, or am I going to use that to my advantage? And that's just the real conversation. Not a lot of women like me for it, but it is the reality. And I truly believe the only thing you owe to this world is to be a good person. So if you have that, you're good.
That's it. Leave the world better than you found it. No, I love it. And I am not as doomsday on AIs this came out to be, but I do think there's some really interesting yes, maybe no, I just think there's some really interesting societal implications. But while that's being said, you can make a whole bunch of money on it, man. So like,
do it.
Figure it out. If there's ways that you can create value for people, whether it's list building or, I used to run an agency. I've done marketing plans now in AI, like, and obviously it's not strictly AI, but like I have structures and frameworks that I can tell the AI to build around, and it gets you a lot faster. Like, so I think one of the things that I think is interesting about this era is, and this was pre-AI, where I just basically almost like the internet era, kind of like 2000s on, maybe 2010 on, is this is the best time to be exceptional and the worst time to be average. Back in the day, 50s, 60s, 70s, you could go to your job, you'd have a house, you'd have a partner, you'd have a dog, everything was fine, you had savings. Where now, if you're average, man, you're driving for DoorDash, no judgment for anybody you do what you got to do when you have to do it, but also take that time and advantage that you can really skill yourself up for pretty much $0 if you have an internet connection and YouTube. And so I think this is honestly, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but one of the best times to be alive, because there's never been this much access to skill building before without gatekeeping, where you don't need a degree from a university to become a marketer. Hell, I went to school for economics and I'm 2 times CMO, you know what I mean? And I ran agencies. I worked at an agency. I had my own agency. So don't let the world define you. You should define yourself. Do what makes you happy. Leave the world a better place. And try and make somebody smile if you can today.
Look at Rava.
We brought it
Chuck E.
back
Cheesing
up.
it. I love it.
We brought it back.
And I will say
that reference, the Chuck E. Cheese. I'm supposed to be making the old man references here. Wait a second.
I'm an old man too, just on the inside, and also I'm a professor. I'm an adjunct professor at a university called Cal Lutheran, and I even tell my students, I'm like, you're wasting your money here. The only thing that you need to learn is executional excellence, and this is the
focus.
time. Focus.
See, it's a callback, kids.
Follow through, and then you'll be great, and you'll surpass both Rava and I.
That's exactly right, and I hope you do. I wish everyone the best. And I am like you said, we were literally direct competitors, and it's great. I mean, it's capitalism. It's great. As long I am from the ilk though, like I want to win, but win the right way. I think the people that want to win at all costs, no judgment on them. I just don't like to associate myself with those people. It's just not how I was brought up. But again, different strokes for different folks. No judgment. Everybody's on a journey. But speaking of a journey, unfortunately, this one is coming to a close. 2 last questions. What are your BFCM predictions? We just had some rate cuts, so 50 basis points. So they just cut interest rates, which theoretically means money's cheaper, or not theoretically, it means literally money is cheaper. When money becomes cheaper, usually people spend more of it, banks give more of it out, et cetera, et cetera. But we do have a presidential election coming up. November 5th, I believe, is the last day to vote. Do you have any takes? Do you think it's going to be bigger than last year, smaller than last year?
I think it's going to be bigger. It's going to be bigger than last year. It's going to cost more to make more this year, I think.
Ooh, interesting.
CPMs have been absolutely insane because not only of the political climate, but also because Meta is being Meta. And then...
another data point for your CPMs though, but Temu and a bunch of the Chinese people are going to get their legs cut out from under them because of the new regulation with the loophole.
Yeah, so but that's just only going to open up inventory for political ads. That hasn't even been in full force yet.
Correct. But I'm saying CPMs are and taking Temu down to 0, I think has some impact, at least deflationary to the CPMs, because they were a massive spender on Facebook.
Let's assume, so if we assumed politics cared about D2C, which is the economy, the economy, essentially.
Yeah, small businesses for sure.
Right. Then what we'll do is maybe they'll take more of an organic route versus a paid, because that has been a huge part in TikTok in terms of influence. This is my assumption at the best level of assumption. So to really, really cut through it's going to cost more to make more, in my opinion.
Yes. I like that.
However, I do think it's going to be bigger than last year because of perceived income or perceived deal. And what I mean by that is every single political party is going to do its best to show that the economy is at the best place while they're here, or they're helping impact something. And then they feel like they're excited for tomorrow. So one of 2 things can happen. Trump or Kamala could do something where they're either going to do doomsday or hope. If it's hope during BFCM, people are going to be buying. If it's doomsday, people are going to be retracting. It's this really interesting thing. Psychology goes hand in hand with buying behavior. Let's talk about when it's hot outside, you don't buy a sweater, you buy shorts. Yeah. So if it's really happy outside, you're probably going to buy more. And if it's really sad outside, you're going to buy less. This is just my assumption, high level. I have been seeing really strong performance. It just started picking up in the last 3 weeks. I'm seeing it across the board. People are doing better. Again, we won't really know until like early October. I'm going to start to see some things happening there. I don't think there's going to be heavy discounting this year. I think there's going to be a lot of AOV increase plays because they know it's going to cost more to make more. And then I'm really intrigued to see people put in an LTV type of strategy and what that looks like when it comes to the fatigue after a peak period. I think that's like the biggest miss for most companies is they just like pull back all their spend after Christmas and then they feel it, but they don't realize like people are still buying. They still have like the buying mentality. So
yeah, wallets are open. Oh, I like that. That's a great take. I love that take. Okay, last question. What do you think function is an excellence of? What is your equation of excellence?
My equation of excellence is doing something or saying you're going to do something and then doing it.
Ooh,
That's it.
easy. Focused.
Focused. It is so
very
easy.
Mindful, very demure.
It's so easy to say, I will do it tomorrow and then not do it tomorrow. It is so easy.
And I will say, because there's a great book by Gretchen Rubin called Better Than Before. And she puts all these people into or not puts people in archetypes, but there's all these archetypes of people. Again, it can be oversimplistic, but sometimes it's helpful for me. And I land in the obliger category where I want people to love me. I want to do everything for everybody, like all this stuff. And I've found that it is better for me to temper that with do what I say I'm going to do, because then I just say no versus overcommitting and like having to do all this like nonsense versus like, no, I can't do it. And I think that is, for me anyways, my personality type. It's better to just do what I say. And I know if I hold myself to doing what I say, then I won't overcommit because I know like, dude, there's like literally not enough hours in the day for me to do all these things that I just committed to. So it's a beautiful, beautiful, succinct and gorgeous statement and a beautiful equation of excellence. Phoenix Ha, how can people find you? How do they sign up for AdBeacon? This time is yours.
Yeah, no, follow me on Phoenix Ha on every single platform. If you follow me on TikTok, good luck. That is an open, active case study where I've gone viral multiple times for literally no reason other than hooks. I understand marketing. You understand marketing. So I did a test on TikTok and there's no one's following me for me. Trust me. Everyone's following me for the random shit. Second is Instagram. If you want to know me as a person. And then third is if you want to know me as a business owner, go on Twitter. So there's 3 different personas for 3 different purposes. If you want to book a demo, just go on adbeacon.com, contact us, baby. And every single demo I'm on. I personally, I'm at the place where I can do it and I will do it. And you should talk to the co-founder. You should understand the heartbeat of a platform. That's why I put my face out there. So I will always be there if I can. And if not, and if I'm not there, reschedule it and make sure I'm there. And we'll do it.
Amazing. I love this. Go to AdBeacon. Go get you some attribution in your life before the money months hit. We are almost into Q4, almost into Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I also think it's going to be an interesting one because this year's calendar falls really weird. Very weird. This year's calendar is very weird. So it'll be really interesting. But Phoenix, this has been so amazing. The offline, the online. We got to connect more. I'm sorry I've been such a ghost. I've been just living in my mush over here. And you got a beautiful puppy. You're Superwoman now. I just, you're such a muse for me. I need to get my shit together. But if you want to get your shit together, you can go to firmatcommerce.com, go book a demo, start building funnels like you create ads, make the money printer go burr. And then we also have a fantastic newsletter that goes out every week, curated by the indomitable Alexa Kilroy. That is called Equation of Excellence, and you can sign up right on the website.
And I can personally say that I love Fermat because every single person I've met at Fermat has exceeded my expectations. Aww. And on top of that, when we had to reschedule this podcast
multiple times, and you were really incredible. Thank you.
Rava created a landing page for me that highly converted. So I will say, Fermat, you've got something going here. So
there's
I will attest.
There. That's really sweet. Hashtag not sponsored. Maybe a little bribe with the merch, but we do have incredible merch, and Phoenix is an incredible beacon. You see what I did with that?
Wow.
Of the community. So go check out AdBeacon. Go check out Firmat Commerce. Go follow Phoenix. Her feed is exquisite. Phoenix, thank you so much. You're the best. We got to get you out here to Austin. Maybe we'll get you on the stage or something like that. But thank you so much for being so awesome about all the reschedules and everything. And that's all we got. Thanks, folks. if you want to watch this and see Phoenix's beautiful puppy and her wonderful face, it's all on the YouTube. So you can just go to youtube.com/Fermat or grab it on any podcast listener. That's it. That's another one in the books. Thanks again, Phoenix. You're the best.
You're
All
the
right,
best.
folks. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.